Proverbs 15:13. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of fools feedeth on foolishness. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of a merry heart hath a continual feast. Here God talks about having a merry heart. You know, the word merry comes from the Hebrew word samaic, and it's used to describe a state of joyfulness or happiness. And what it has to do with is an inward happiness and contentment that are expressed in outward actions. So when you and I have joy in our heart, it's supposed to come out in good actions. And so here in verse 13, he says, a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. Well, what is cheerful? That word literally means doing of good. And so here God tells us that when you and I have true joy and true contentment in our hearts, it will show in our lives by our doing of good actions, by our good treatment of other people and our spirit. You see, God here is telling us that to the extent that we have inward joy is the extent that we'll have a cheerful attitude and cheerful actions. You've all heard of a Scrooge or a Grinch, someone who has very few cheerful acts for others, someone who has no good works for other people. Why is that? It's because they don't have true joy within their heart. You understand God's plan for you as a Christian is that you be both contented and joyful in your heart with what you have, and the result is a goodness of actions towards others. Oh, but there's more. If you continue reading in Proverbs 15 and verse number 30, the Bible says, the light of the eyes rejoiceth the heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat. So in verse number 13, he tells us that when we have joy within inside, it results in an outward goodness towards other people. But here in verse number 30, in the very same chapter, God tells us that when we see good being done, it causes a rejoicing of our heart, or a refilling of joy within our heart, or a retelling of our inward joy. Now, I know this sounds like doublespeak, but let me explain. When we have inward joy of the Lord, something the world can't take away, when we have true inward joy of the Lord, it always results in outward expression of good deeds towards others. Then, when we witness the good done to others, it rejoys us. It refills our joy bottle. Have you ever given a gift to someone and you wait anxiously for them to open it? Maybe it is you went out and you knew what they wanted, and you thought and you researched and you finally got that one thing that you know they wanted most, and you give it to them. And you just wait for them to open it. And boy, how happy you are when you see the look of contentment and happiness on their face. What happened there? You didn't receive anything. But because you saw the good done to them, it topped off your bottle of joy. And it just makes your joy to overflow. That's what rejoicing is. It's refilling your bottle of joy. It recharges your joy battery. It retells your heart of the joy that it has. Can I tell you today, the best way for you to have a Merry Christmas is not to receive everything on your Amazon wish list. The best way for you to have a Merry Christmas is not to get that one thing that you've been coveting all year long. The best way for you to have a Merry Christmas, and by the way, a merry rest of the year too, is to be of a cheerful countenance. You say, what does that mean? Do things for others. Give a gift to someone who can't repay you. Give a gift to someone anonymously where they don't know who did it, but you get to see the joy in their eyes. You say, well, I don't have money to do a bunch of things for people or to give a bunch of gifts. You don't need to have money to do something for people. Do you know how to write? You know, some of the dearest things in my possession are letters from people who had no earthly reason for writing to me, but they wrote from the heart and they told of their love for me and their prayers for me. And boy, how they've helped me through tough times. You know, you and I, if we want to have a Merry Christmas, it may be that we should find someone who is grieving and write them a letter. You understand there's someone this year, this will be their first Christmas without their spouse. You understand there's someone that this Christmas, it will be their first Christmas after the loss of a loved one. Maybe you should find someone who's grieving and write them a letter. Hey, Maybe you should find someone who's lonely this season and give them a phone call. We all have loved ones that are lonely. You understand what a phone call would mean to someone with a lonely heart? Hey, maybe it is that you ought to find someone who will be alone and invite them to eat with your family. Take your family and do something for another family. You say, what does that result in? That results in joy among the family. You see, folks, I found that the best way to have a Merry Christmas is to be of a cheerful countenance. You say, what is that? Do good things for other people. Whether it is making cookies or fudge and giving to someone you love, making a phone call, writing a heartfelt letter, inviting someone to dine with you, whatever it is, each one of us has within ourselves the mental capacity, the physical capacity, and even the financial capacity. If you have zero money to your name, you have the financial capacity to be a help and a blessing to someone else. It doesn't take a great deal of money. It doesn't take a great deal of might. It just takes a heart that wants to help other people. Let me encourage you today. If you want to have a Merry Christmas, spend your time doing good deeds for others. We love you, folks. We'll see you tonight at 7.